Barely about 2 months after the MPAPE area of Abuja and its environs experienced a tremor, another suspected tremor occurred Thursday afternoon in MAITAMA district, that's a neighbor area of the federal capital city. Now, the latest earth bowel vibrations in MAITAMA equally caused panic, just as it did the previous one, making residents to actually go on distress calls. Now, the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency will then dispatch a technical team to the location, and also other officials of the city management actually touched the ground there for preliminary assessment. After field evaluations, the technical team determined the intensity of the MAITAMA tremor to be about 3.0 on the MERCALLI intensity scale, which it says means the tremor was felt indoors and lasted less than 1 minute. Now, with no structural damages, of course, and as in other cases, residents were advised not to panic as there is no cause for alarm. But then, with the recurrence of the tremors, to what extent is Abuja and other parts of Nigeria becoming vulnerable to such tremors, as well as other natural disasters? This is our focus on Nigeria today. Welcome to the program. My name is Blessing Abu. With me in the studio to discuss the update on the Abuja tremor, I'd like to welcome Professor Emmanuel Adano. He's Executive Director, National Water Resources Institute in Kaduna. I'm sure you've seen him in one of the other programs. And he's also a geology expert. Welcome to the program, Professor.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Joining Professor in the studio is the Coordinator, Abuja Metropolitan Management Council. Town Planner Omar Shaibu is our guest also on the program. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
This is one tremor, one vibration, bowel movement of the earth, getting too many, especially within the city of Abuja, that is the federal capital territory, and I'm sure for some other part that I've witnessed that, Kaduna and some other areas. Is Nigeria prone to disaster of such earthquakes, earth tremor? Executive Director, let's find out from you first.
Yeah, thank you very much. Prone, we might define what you mean by prone. But the incidents we've recorded so far is strange to us, just because we've not been having this. But if it is somewhere like Japan or some other areas in Asia, the Pacific and all that, it's not strange. Japan records 20 or more daily of such minor vibrations. Now, whether Nigeria is prone to that is something that we need to study. We don't belong to the mobile belts of the earth. We don't have any of those around us. But most of the earthquakes happen around plate boundaries. The earth is like an egg, okay. The yolk in the middle, okay. The abdomen beside it, around it, and then the crust, which is like the shell of the egg. Now, the shell of the egg is continuous, but the earth, which is a crust, is not continuous, okay. Which covers it, broken into plates, 7 major, 8 minor, and some subsidiary plates. And these plates float on top of the molten material, so they jostle around. Fortunately, Nigeria is not in any of the boundaries. The African plate is a plate situated and bounded by about 7 other plates: the Antarctica, the Australian, the Indian, the Arabian, the Eurasian, the Caribbean, and the South American. So Africa is within it. But it doesn't mean that if there is pressure on it, it cannot crack anywhere in between. So we have earthquakes that happen within the plate, not at the plate boundaries. So Nigeria is not outside that. Incidentally, 2016, July 2016, we had a tremor like that in Ikara, in Kaduna State. Then the same year, September, we had in Igabi area, Koi area too. Now, most of these were associated with certain movements. The one we experienced, because we were there, we stood on the hill where most of the impact were felt. We tried to see if we can get a feeling of it and take some physical measurement by seeing vibrations and recording them. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. It happened 4 a.m. before we went there that day. Okay. Now,
what do we have? This one occurred in Abuja, yeah, recently and even yesterday.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to see. We have 2 structural alignments from that Ikara area that comes down across all the way to Abuja area, 2 of them. So if there is any tremor or any seismic activity, these are environments that can always accommodate such regional strain. It's not too far. Geologically, Abuja is not far from Kaduna, in that area. So if tremors occur, because intraplate tremors or earthquakes occur, we've had devastating ones. If you go to in the United States, even Botswana 2017, we had some intraplate, not plate boundary, which are prone to earthquakes. So these ones are adjustment of the plate to physical stresses that come in. So
okay, all right, Professor, we'll get back to you. Let's get the coordinator in at this point. Yes, this is, well, for our Abuja resident becoming worried. Each time we have such movement, we've been told no cause for alarm, no need to panic. Of course, the panic got you calls. I'm sure your office was being called all over yesterday when this happened. What exactly are we experiencing in Abuja, and what have you received from colleagues, agencies so far?
Yes, you see, it's because of we're not used to this, just as the geologists have just said it. Things that are strange to us, people tend to panic. Quite okay. But these are natural. There are things that we cannot control. We can only manage if it happens. And we here, we are so proactive in the way we plan the city from the beginning.
So are you finding this as a natural occurrence? Because the last time we had this experience in September, we're told it was due to some activities, people drilling. There were different sundry reports. What exactly is what's ongoing?
Well, even that drilling, it has not been ascertained to be the actual cause of the incidents. The experts are studying that. The best we do as planners for the city is we anticipate, but because Nigeria is not within the earthquake-prone areas, nobody anticipated this from the beginning of planning the city. And what we plan is, how do we address things like flooding, because that one, it occurs.
It's perennial.
It's perennials. How do we address things like making the city to be aesthetically beautiful? How do we plan to build where it's not susceptible to things like landslide and what have you? These ones we can predict. Things that we cannot predict, we cannot plan against. We can only manage it when it happens. And to be proactive and to have some mitigation measures when it does. So that is the measures that we are taking.
Okay. Now if we talked about actually looking out to see the way we can actually prevent them, let me get back to Professor Adano. You already trailed out those we experienced in 2016 and some other periods. Between that time and today, what we're experiencing, because we said if it's something that is supposed to be natural occurrence, it might take time, perhaps maybe 10 or more years, but it's not too far from the last time we had one. What exactly is not connecting for us to actually follow the pattern, just like we've trailed what is happening across the world?
Yeah, 10 years, you wait for 10 years for earthquake to happen, it may not happen. You cannot really, in a non-earthquake prone zone, it is difficult for you to predict an earthquake. Even the prone areas, we have seismometers that can register this. It gives you the frequency, the amplitude, you know. When you keep monitoring it real time, it can give you an indication of when something devastating may happen or something recordable.
But have we been able to follow on that trend too, since we had those
when we did our investigation, it's just that I couldn't make a presentation here. All the cracks, because in Kwe, for instance, there are so many houses that were cracked. Even, yeah, they were preaching in the church, the podium cracked also. So it's not a prayer thing. It cracked. We have the photographs as well. Now, if you have a seismometer or some of them along these areas that are seemingly susceptible, we can be recording this and be transmitting live to even NTA. You keep telling people the frequency of the tremor is rising. Incidentally, we have not got more than 3 on the Richter scale. not 3, not more than 3, 2.93, 2.93, which means we have a level of tremor that is a bit consistent with the tectonic activities that are coming up. See, that is what, but it is not forever. The earthquake-prone zones today were stable at one time. So, and the earth will not tell you when it's going to react. So you can't prevent earthquake, and even to accommodate it sometimes, because it varies in the intensity.
But can we prevent the earth tremors like we
You can't prevent anything, yeah. Exactly. Because the source of the earth tremor originally comes from about 2,800 kilometers below the surface. In some cases, it comes up there. When they tell you that an earthquake is so, the epicenter is this, the focus is this, that is where the action took place. What prompted it may have come from further below.
So let's take time to explain what people actually get confronted with. Once the earth tremor occurs, what exactly do they feel? What occurs in that environment?
Okay, what happens actually is a vibration. The seismic, we call it seismic wave. When you, like audio waves, when you shout, the way they moves. We have transverse and longitudinal. So when it comes, it shakes the solid material. And that's the way you feel it. A vibration on that, just like an explosion around you. But sometimes the soil you stand on can liquefy. It turns to liquid because of intense heat and all this.
Okay.
And then you just, every structure on it will just sink into it. So it's a huge kind of vibration, and it depends on the propagation, how it comes out. So what we are receiving today is very minor. 3 on the miss is because we are not used to it. There was a time, I can even remember, we were in a meeting in China, Kyoto, when some of the tables were shaking. And even we witnessed it but we were a bit scared because we were not used to it. But the Japanese were going normally, because some of the structures are designed to withstand such minor earthquakes, or even more major than that.
I like that part, because you said some of the structures already, they are known, at least they're known to have such in their areas, and they're prepared for it. How prepared is a place like Federal Capital Territory, even other parts around the nation? But I'm taking that of the Federal Capital because this is where we're now witnessing more in the last. How prepared are we? Town planner?
Yes, in terms of structural strength of the buildings in Abuja, we make sure that we don't boycott all the necessary standards. Maybe that is why when this happened, maybe in
the
MEITAMA one and the MPAPE area, you never have a situation whereby houses crack, just the way it happened in Koi. So here we never, because we went around the place today, and what I saw on social media, you see crack here. They brought pictures from somewhere. I went around everywhere, never see any crack. You don't even see crack on the surface. That means no building is going to be affected.
Perhaps it's gradual cracking.
Maybe it's gradual. Yeah, perhaps it's gradual. Of course, when you have movement gradually, so if it is so frequent, definitely will have that. But it's not as frequent as that, we'll have that problem. Structurally, our buildings in Abuja are sound. And that is why we don't take it kindly to people that should change the materials, the strengths of building and what have you.
Okay, we'll get to find out more about that. And you went round and you said you didn't notice anything. Well, we went round as well, and we got back this views from the street on what people think about the earthquake and how they actually reacted to it. You're watching Nigeria Today, and we're looking at the Abuja earth tremor. We'll be right back after this week. Let's go to the street.
My body do me somehow because the thing don't happen before. It take about 1 month, 2 weeks before that yesterday on can happen again.
Last month the thing happened. It was shaking yesterday, and it's not like that, just very few. So many people came out and asked. Even yesterday, geologists, they are here yesterday. TV news they are here yesterday, so it doesn't feel like anything because it have been happening before, more than yesterday. So
I hope you didn't vibrated.
Were you scared?
I was scared. I was scared.
All of us, we run away, both our colleagues, both police people, we run, we come outside, we couldn't see anything. But the ground was shaking seriously.
I was scared anyway, because what they told us about the tremor is that it might be this sign of or symptom of this thing, what do they call it, a sign of earthquake. So it has become a usual normal occurrence here now. This is not the
All right, you're watching Nigeria Today, and there's a views from the street about the tremor that took place in Abuja yesterday and also, well, way back in last month. Gentlemen, we know that those are just reactions and those are views across board. Is there a possibility that we could be witnessing more, or as in the frequency, from the look of things, is now coming staccato? Professor Dan.
Yeah, I think we can be witnessing more. You know, this people on the street, you say on the street we're talking, 2 or 3 of them said, it has happened before, we're getting used to it.
Is that something we should get used to?
That is it. They are getting used to it because no devastation has been caused by this minor tremor. After some time, you may not get used to it. If the strength increases, you get frightened. Now, the town planner here explained to you that the structures here are strong enough to... The structures we have here are based on the kind of soil we anticipate we have and should be. Okay. If earthquakes start happening constantly and devastate, because the scale they give you, this 1 to 10 scale, is a scale of the kind of devastation that will happen. When it gets to 1, 2, 3, you may have structures cracked. It gets beyond that, structures collapsing. It gets beyond that, maybe the ground melting. You know, it goes beyond that. At the stage we are, the structures we have in the FCT and the kind of soil we have, but if it increases, believe you me, my brother here, town planner, will change. That narrative. Kind of the narrative will change. So it depends on what we have today and the experiences that have been expressed. And let me tell you, if we do not monitor this event, we're going to have problems. After our incidents in Kaduna, we were there twice. We climbed the hill. There are structures there that are very prone to such intraplate earthquakes. Now we took our reports to anywhere we could, and we recommended that in these areas that have been identified as possible environments for propitious actions like that of earthquake, let us have seismograph all over to record.
So what happened to the reports that you took?
It's with me.
So nothing has been done since that time the report has been presented? No. That's hard.
We made it academic. We made a presentation to the Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Society, and I think that's why but we still have a copy.
So some of this area you've identified, Kaduna, of course now Abuja inclusive. What other areas or what other parts of the country?
The Jos Plateau geologically has a very complex rock there that has the origin of similar content as intraplate earthquake. We call it the ring complexes. The origin is the same as the origin of intraplate earthquakes. And in geologic terms, those are neighborhoods. Jos is very close to, and Abuja is also, geologically, they are just neighborhoods. So we must be very, very proactive.
There's serious cause for worrying.
Let's not think that because we don't belong to the mobile belts or the tectonic environments and nothing can happen. All those environments were stable at one time. And people keep saying that Nigeria is very stable. Millions of years ago, 600 million ago, it was formed. Prior to 600 million ago, what happened? So anything that has been happening or is not happening yet, you don't dictate to the earth how to respond to its internal problem.
The earth will move.
Yeah, it will move.
Okay, town planner, yes, now I'm hoping that the assurance you're giving about the solidity to the ground and the buildings, just like I said, we'll be able to point out another.
We hope so, because, you see, earthquakes, you know, we have been seeing it happening everywhere. You know, that this one is nature. We cannot do anything about it. If
so
it
what more should the FCT residents watch out for? Because you've told them, or at least we're telling them, there's no need for panic, but then there's need for us to worry about not doing anything, at least like the report he just pointed out. What other measures, regulatory measures, is the FCT administration looking at, especially through your office?
Yeah, definitely our geological department, just the way it's working, also our geological section are also studying this matter. We are making, even next week we are going to have presentation in our council by some of the experts that we are going to engage on the studies of all these areas.
There is a study already. Wouldn't there be a harmonization of all this?
Definitely, there should be a harmonization. You see, there is NEMA and FCT also making our effort. We have to meet. The other time we went also and meet. There was an interministerial meeting, a committee. We went for the meeting. The minister, FCT, science and technology, and mines and power. Okay. That was that meeting already. That structure has already been established for cooperation among the ministry to see how we're going to handle the situation. Okay,
talking about handling the situation, the status for investigation, the last outing, that's the one in September. What actually happened? How far have we gone in addressing that, at least to prevent, or at least to look into this?
This is a study that cannot be completed. We will not be experiencing this. This is a study that cannot be completed immediately like that. So we have to bring our data of what happened then, and then we have a new one now. So we have to start again in this location. So the authority is on top of the matter.
Okay, it's on top of the matter.
Yes.
Professor Adanu, last word, we must go.
Well, I think we need to consider studying these events more seriously. Because if we keep having this, the frequency we're having it now, then we must be able to tell Nigerians the possibility of major events and how likely another one can occur. Now, we are saying is 3 on the Richter scale. That's the scale of earthquake. Yeah. We are saying it's 3 now. It could get worse than that any time. And you can never predict the next scale. So I still say that all those environments that have been geologically determined to be slightly unstable or perceivably becoming unstable should be fitted with seismograms to monitor any possible tremor. It is very important. Erroneously, they have said that there are boreholes and all this. It's total nonsense. It has nothing to do with borehole and all this. Nothing. So we should be monitoring this tremor constantly.
Now, talking about monitoring, just quickly, some of the respondents, they actually talked about they ran this way and they ran away, even some law enforcement agent. What should they do when they have such occurrence?
No, there's nothing you can do about earthquakes.
At least for safety reasons.
Okay. If you are lucky and the earthquake is such that you are in an open space and it breaks buildings, it won't collapse on you. But when you are sleeping or when you are inside the house and the building collapses on you, there's nothing you can do about it. The only thing is to make sure that the buildings don't collapse.
Wow. For some, they say not so it becomes,
it's not a question of portion.
So it has to be something we have to actually wake up to a reality.
Thank you. The cracks that occurred in Koi at about 10 a.m. on the podium, they were preaching. Even the podium, the glass podium, they were, but yeah, they were praying. So it's not a question of a prayer or nothing.
We must wake up to responsibility of things. Yeah. Thank you very much. We'd like to appreciate Professor Emmanuel Adanu, Executive Director, National Water Resources Institute, Kaduna. Thank you for joining us on this program. And also I would like to appreciate Coordinator, Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, Town Planner Omar Shaib. Thank you for your insight.
Thank you. There's one thing that I forget to. Since the geology said that if you are in a building, what means is that if the tremor starts, one should just run away from buildings.
That environment.
From that environment. No, not from that environment, just run away from where building is and be in an open field.
What if the journey is on that open field as well? Well, thank you so much for coming on the program. We also appreciate you, our viewer, for your time. Remember, you can watch this edition or any other edition online at youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hour. The program returns on Monday, 7:30 in the evening. In the meantime, have the rest of the day on a good note. My name is Blessing Abu.